We are now joined in studio by Dr. ABC Okokoh, the president of Ohaneze Ndi-Igbo, South Africa, Chapterto, to discuss the fallout. Now, Dr. ABC, it's a very interesting story that has come out. I mean, tell us about your initial reaction when you saw or when you read about what was happening.
Lulu, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, fellow listeners. Actually, what happened is very sad. It's not an interesting thing. It's very sad because we regret the unintended consequences that what played out have led to. We as Ohaneze, we preach peaceful coexistence between our people, the Igbo nation, and the host community. And we've been working towards that in various ways. We emphasize on social cohesion. Unfortunately, this thing came out in a manner that actually it was not the right presentation. The optics was very bad out there. There were just issues of misinformation. And based on that, we found out that everything went out of our control. Why am I saying that? This thing started at social media level. And because of the way people jump into social media news, it escalated. It couldn't have been at this moment. But answering your question, we've been trying to reach out to the king, whereby East London forms the domain. East London forms with. And we are getting positive signs that in no distant time, in just few days or so, we'll be able to be meeting directly with him to explain that what actually is being hid in the social media is not actually what it is. What you have in social media is fake news. In the first place, there was no coronation. Even though maybe if you look at the interview, some people use coronation. And remember, we are Africans. Some of us, we don't know the right word to use. When we see something based on what we think as our own language, we can now translate it to English, creating a confusion which can lead to more problem.
So, Dr. Okokoh, what exactly happened? What was it that was posted on social media that has created this furor? And if you translate it in your language, what is it in English?
If I translate it in my language, what we are trying to convey or trying to do for the celebrant is just to decorate him, to say, we recognize you as one of our own, a sort of cultural ambassador. But we don't want to use the word cultural ambassador because it also is a loaded word. We could have said, so when we use the word Igwe, Igwe doesn't strictly mean king in Igbo language. Igbo actually, in Igbo language, we refer to heaven as Igwe, or we refer to sky as Igwe. So which means somebody on the high. It's just a way of recognizing to say, no, you are, you have a high status or something like that. So it wasn't about king and kingdoms.
So if this were to happen, say does it happen normally in Nigeria, in your region? Is it something that happens normally in terms of celebrating and all of that in terms of culture? That definitely happens. But where then the people who translated this and created the spectacle of it being a coronation, how would it then be interpreted back home for you?
Yeah, back home, the important thing is to know our intention, because if you talk about king, it's just like even in South Africa here, there are what we call traditional leadership acts. There are provisions, legislations that must be complied with. In fact, back home, it's more or less not just a physical thing, it has a spiritual dimension. And you have to look at boundary issues, biological issues, for example, the bloodline, whether the person is actually a royalty. You can't just see somebody and call him king. And by the way, for record, Igbos, we don't have king in Igbo land. What we have is a collective type of leadership where we have elders. And what happened, what actually appeared was more or less a private event where we try to get our people who can actually act like elders and be able also to build relationship with the whole community, host community. So actually that was what played out. But the people that framed it, the phraseology and the way they presented it was entirely different in terms of interpretation. It wasn't what we had in mind. And so we regret what is happening now. It is not in our nature. It's not in our intention to come and cause havoc, violence, disturbance of peace, trying to destroy the economic system and livelihoods of people. No, it's not. It's never what we intend.
Now, Dr. Okokoh, what guidance are you providing to Nigerian nationals regarding respecting local governance and traditional authorities in South Africa, as South Africa being a host country?
Thank you. And that's actually what Ohaneze is doing. By the way, Ohaneze Ndi-Igbo is a worldwide organization. So here we have a South African chapter. It's just to guide our people to make sure they don't go beyond what is permissible or what the laws of wherever they find themselves and wherever they find themselves stipulates. It's just for them to be law abiding. Ohaneze Ndi-Igbo is a responsible organization. And personally, I'm taking responsibility to say that we are sorry to the host community for the misconception and for the misinterpretation of our action, not what they intended. Because in terms of the Leadership Act, Traditional Leadership Act of South Africa, there are aspects such as management of land and resources, and also liaising with government. These men can never have no land to manage. There are no people. In fact, I'm not his subject. It's not, in a normal kingship, there is structure, there are things that have to be in place. There's nothing like that. So he can't even command any authority here in this country. Talk less of speaking to government, talk less of going to the normal laid down system of leadership, traditional leadership.
Now, what message would you like to send to South Africans who feel concerned or threatened by the reported coronation? Now, earlier on, I was speaking to our reporter, Michael Mbewe, who is covering a protest action that was taking place at the Nigerian Embassy in Pretoria. What message do you have for South Africans to understand exactly what unfolded?
The message I have is they must understand that we are their guests, and we really appreciate and respect South Africans, even the laws of South Africa, because you cannot go to somebody's house and tell him how to sit. It's the one to tell you how to sit, and we are law-abiding. So if there is any kind of misunderstanding, which is normal even in families, there are always misunderstandings. It's just to have to sit down on the round table and talk about it and give clarification, just like we are doing now. In fact, I have to be honest with you. If I have had this kind of opportunity more few previous days than now, it might not have led to this, because I could have explained exactly what happened. But we try to send in a disclaimer, which of course, when I realized it was even in social media, it has already been doctored. It has been changed. Things have been, it's like there are third forces working against the Igbo nation in this country. Igbo nation is peace and lovely nation that like to relate with every nation. We don't segregate. We don't separate ourselves. We intermingle. We get to know our people, our host community, and also try as much as possible to blend with their culture. So we are subject to the cultural leadership, and also to the traditional leadership of South Africa in terms of the provisions of the Constitution.
Now, how can the Nigerians and South African communities work together now to rebuild the trust and prevent similar conflicts in the future? Because from this, a lot of frustration has come out with the name calling and labeling with regards to, some of the rotten apples that could be in the pack. how are the relations going to be rebuilt? And are you working with the Nigerian Embassy to this regard?
Of course, Ohaneze and Ndi-Igbo have been working with Nigerian High Commission, even the Consul General. In fact, we approached them when these things started. We have to reach out to them and say, this is what is happening. For the host community, I just want us to say, we regret what has happened. It's not our intention. But going forward, it opens a window of opportunity in terms of cultural exchange. Cultural exchange is not only done at diplomatic level, which, like when I had listened to some of the news, we can hear that the embassy or the High Commission is working with the government of South Africa. It doesn't end there. It has to also go to the grassroots. How do we do it? We need to build that relationship. We need to come and explain and open up. We don't need to be in a cocoon or isolate ourselves. We need to work together as Africans so that we can build a better and prosperous South Africa.
Now, Dr. Okokoh, do incidents like this risk affecting relations between Nigerians and host communities in South Africa more broadly? And what long-term measures would you recommend to ensure peaceful coexistence and just mutual respect between different cultural groups?
Obviously, it may seem that it's going to hurt the relationship between the two countries. But beyond that, I feel that it's a window of opportunity whereby Nigeria or Nigerians in South Africa should actually show that they are law-abiding, respectful to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and also to work hand in hand with the locals to fight all ills that actually surround our communities. Remember, I used to tell people, race is not a name for any crime, which means crime can be from any race, can be from any tribe, can be from any nation. But what we do is, can we come together as Africans and make sure that we don't allow evil or things that can destroy the relationship, good relationship of Africans, our brothers and sisters. We don't allow that to, be in place. So we need to work against those things. So going forward, I feel it's a way we can still go and see how we can build the trust and actually get ourselves working together.
And what are you finding, just to digress a little, in terms of Nigerians who are in South Africa, who are being hosted by South African different communities, and the perception and the impression that on the one hand, there will be good Nigerians, and on the other hand, there will be bad Nigerians, like in any communities. How do you deal with that as the Ohaneze? How do you work around that, and how do you ensure that the reputation is not the way that it is currently?
You see, what's going on is, like you mentioned, there are good apples, there are bad apples, and in most cases, you find out that the bad apples overshadow the good apples. We've got a lot of Nigerians who are medical doctors in this country, attorneys, who are engineers in different sectors, academics. So those ones, nobody celebrate them, nobody talk about them. If you talk about them, it's on an individual basis. But now, when you want to talk about the bad apples, people talk about them collectively. Those are the ones they call Nigerians. Those ones doing good, trying to build the economy of the country. Nobody recognizes them. It's on an individual basis, they give them promotion. But when you want to sell the narrative we sell is the one we see on the street. And the ones you see in street, unfortunately, most of them might be illegal immigrants. They are not legal in this country. And at the end of the day, we use them to frame, these are Nigerians. So,
well, Dr. Okokoh, I appreciate you coming to studio to discuss this and have a conversation with us on this. And hopefully you'll be able to come back and give us an update as to how things have unfolded, how far the embassy is with regards to this. And once you've met with the alleged king or the person who was being celebrated, as you put it, if they can come and join you in studio or have a conversation with us, we'd really appreciate that. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
That is Dr. ABC Okokoh, the president of the Ohaneze Ndi-Igbo South Africa chapter, joining us live in studio. And on today, hashtag Africa Updates Asked today, we focus on this story where progressive forces movement staging a protest outside the Nigerian Embassy in Pretoria, intensifying tensions over the controversial and alleged coronation of a figure referred to as the Igbo King of East London in the Eastern Cape. We want to know, what advice would you give to South Africans and Nigerians in South Africa in addressing these tensions? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes on +27 83 288 6684. Hashtag Africa Update Us. It is 12:30 and our news headlines up next.